From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Cummins.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Cummins. Coming up on today's show, heavy news day on Monday. Where do we start? How about the fact that the Bucs still stops with Mike Norvell? Does Florida State have its next quarterback in the fold? And Matt LaSerre gives us all the portal intel you could possibly want. Wake Up Warchant presented by Cummins. CumminsLifestyle on Instagram. Give it a follow. Check out all the awesome things you can do when you've got reliable, quiet, portable power. They've been doing it for over 100 years. They've got the world's best-selling installed RV generators for a reason. Check it out for yourselves. Also giving away that awesome ultimate tailgate details later on in the week as we get ready and closer for generating discussion sparked by our friends over at Cummins. Warchant.com remains the ultimate Seminole sports source. We are on the On3 network, have been so for almost 3 years now. 50% off offer still going on as the transfer portal remains wide open. For better or worse. We'll talk about all that. Myself and Corey Clark. Corey, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. When's the last time you worked shoulders? Did some shrugs or some military press?
I don't do, what's a military press? Remind me of that one.
So either seated or standing, dumbbells.
Just a shoulder press.
Yeah, shoulder press. Just vertical push over your head.
2 days ago.
Okay, all right. So
2 days ago, yeah.
You're rested and ready to carry the day. Because,
oh, good. Okay. I got you. I see where you're going.
Per usual. But, Monday was obviously a very newsy day. Lots of stuff going on with the portal. We'll have Matt LaSerre on later in the show to talk about everything that's going on. But I wanted to start off with, the press conference at 3:15 with Michael Alford, Mike Norvell, and John Garrett. And why I say I need to carry the day is that I was gutted, man. As soon as Michael Alford read from his his notes, his pre-written statement about, who's going to do what, but then, saying ultimately Mike Norvell gets final say-so, and then you did a good job as a journalist and followed up to get some more clarity on it. And then John Garrett, had the quote that I think we pulled out and put on a YouTube short just about he's got the HC head coach next to his name, Mike Norvell. So obviously he's going to get the final say-so. I kind of shut down a little bit, man, because I was like, well, then what are we here to talk about? Make it not as fatalistic as that for us, please, Corey.
I think, Norvell said multiple. Look, there's no good way for John Garrett to sit there and pound his fist and be like, I am. Why are you asking me? I'm the general manager. Why are you even asking me that? What's your name, Corey? Of course I'm making the final decision. He's not going to do that. It was a little bit of an odd dynamic because Michael Alford and Mike Norvell were sitting there with him. So he answered it kind of how I thought. He basically said, look, Mike Norvell has the HC next to his name, as you just alluded to, so he gets the final say, which is how it should be. I mean, it's his program. He gets paid the most. But I thought it was more important, if you want to not be fatalistic, that Mike Norvell said probably 3 times he talked about checks and balances, and that basically it sounded like there will be somebody in the room that will be not able to veto what he's saying, but lend more weight to maybe a mistake that might be being made and talk him through it.
So he wants to be checked and balanced.
That's the impression I got.
Okay.
And I don't know if he wants to or if he thinks he needs to. If he needs it, I mean, he does. But if he doesn't even think that, the fact that he said it 2 or 3 times is clearly something that I think he and Alford have talked about. Like, it does make sense, man. In this world where you have 100 football players you have to go pay, the coach can't be it's just too much to ask the head coach to go make every single personnel decision when you have 100 guys and there's so much turnover from day to day. It's just too much. It's too much for one person to do. So the fact that it's not all on his plate, I think is a good. I mean, we all think that's a good thing. But I think the fact that, again, that he kept saying checks and balances, it just means that he's not the end-all, be-all. He isn't, I don't know if he's the legislative or the executive or whatever branch of government you want to throw there.
Judicial.
But there are checks and balances in place for a reason. And he did say, after, because he jumped in after Garrett said what he said about he's the head coach, he gets final say. He's like, well, look, we're not going to bring in anyone that we don't both agree with.
That's confusing to me, Corey. Can you read the line between the lines on that? So if I wanted to do a segment and you wanted to do a segment, well, actually, I don't want to do the segment. You do. If we do the segment, you win, right? Like, how do we both get our cake and eat it too? If they both have to agree to get a player here on board,
I think what I read, again, it's reading between the lines, and I know we've got a lot to talk about with just in the portal itself, because there was plenty of news on Monday. But just reading between the lines, he talked about, when he was talking about is somebody they both agree on, that it also has to be that they might value the player differently. Meaning, I think that there will be some pushback. They're not going to bring anybody on board that only one of them likes. They both have to like, and the coordinator has to like. But John Garrett or Norvell or both also have to be like, well, do we want to pay him this much money? How much do we value this player? Because Norvell, as Norvell was saying, he's like, it used to just be you had to ask yourself, is this guy talented enough to play at Florida State? Well, now there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
It's not just talent. It's, okay, what is his value? What is his value this year? What is his value next year if we sign him to a multi-year deal? Is he more valuable next year than, saving money, not bringing him in, and spending it on some one-year rental? And these are the decisions that have to be made. I think the mistake that has been made, if there has been one, is that John Garrett said multiple times on Monday that he's been here 6 days. And, yeah, I think that's a mistake. I think he should have been here for 26 days. And he would have had a better lay of the land, and they could have gotten their ducks in a row a little better, because it comes fast and quick once this portal opens up, man. It is every 30 minutes there's more news breaking. But I think that they will agree on who needs to be on the Florida State roster. What will be the pushback, I think, when it comes to both of them, or if a coordinator gets involved, is what are we willing to spend on this? Sorry, Gus. I know you want him. We can't spend that amount of money on him. Sorry. I think that's where the checks and balances come in. But they're not going to take a kid that one is kind of lukewarm on or doesn't like. They both have to like him, and then that's when the real discussions start.
Yeah, so maybe in some regards, Mike doesn't have final say so. Because if he's like, I like this guy, but John Garrett's like, I don't. Well, they both didn't agree on it, so I would think that means that they're not going to bring the guy on board, because the only way the key gets unlocked or the door ggets unlocked is if both guys put their key in it. It's like going to the safety deposit box at your bank. Like, you put your key in.
I was thinking about the nuclear football or something.
Or that. The one other thing I did remember hearing, because I asked a follow-up question that I thought was a little bit illuminating, was, when you mentioned it about all the things that a coach has to do now versus last year, 2 years ago. Norvell was pretty, for him at least, kind of frank when I thought he's like, listen, I don't want to negotiate with our players, in terms of, I think Joey McGuire, or maybe it was John Summerall I listened to on the Woj podcast last year. And he was talking about like, I'm not involved in that. Like, I do not want to be involved in that. Like, but then I asked Mike the follow-up, like, do you still want to know how much that guy is basically being paid? What is being allocated? He's like, oh yeah, absolutely. So I think that's, especially for him, I think, because whatever, I don't know if he's an empath or whatever word kids use these days, but he's very earnest. Like, I think Mike really does care, unless I'm not trying to defend Mike Norvell here or anything of the sort, but he just seems a little bit different than most of the other coaches at these blue blood programs, where he seems to really be invested in what these dudes are when they don't have a helmet and pads on or whatever. So it must be kind of hard to try to coach them hard, but then wrap your arm around them when they know that, like, hey, like, you said no to what I wanted, but you said yes to him and the money that he got. So maybe removing some of that part of the equation gets him to be more of this, inspirational leader or whatever he needs to be when he's got a offensive coordinator calling all the plays on the offense. He's got defensive coordinator handling everything on the defense. So if you're going to be the guy that, players can lean on, they want to talk to, they can open up with, probably would help that you're not the one talking to them about how much money you think they're worth and deserve.
Again, though, it's just, I know I'm a broken record, man, and I know I beat this dead horse with that broken record, but how ridiculous would it be that he was negotiating contracts? I mean, this is absurd what we're dealing with. It's absurd.
Well, it's absurd that he was doing that. I mean, again,
it's absurd that college football would leave it to head coaches to not only have to put together a roster, but then retain a roster and then talk to players and agents about what contract they have. And I don't think Kirby's doing that either.
That's the thing. I think you needed to have some foresight to realize like this is what it's going to be like. Oh, hell no, I am not doing that. Listen, John Summerall at Tulane, he had a GM that he was working with that helped create that. I don't think Derek Ray was nearly as strong of a personality as the guy that was in New Orleans, but yeah, man, it would have helped to have a lot of foresight to be like, yeah, no, man, if this is what we're going to do, where I'm the guy that I want to be the papa to everybody on this football team. Yeah, I cannot be involved in the negotiations. There's no reason they couldn't have known that last year. They should have been able to see that.
Sure, but here we are now.
We are,
and I think and this thing keeps ballooning more and more out of control. Just the sport itself. So yeah, I think this is how most schools are going to be. The head coach needs to be insulated from this. Like again, I don't know. Who's the head coach of the Texans? D'Amico Ryans?
Yeah, but who's the head coach of the Hawks? Trey Young on his way out, sounds like.
Yeah,
Corey.
That's right. Maybe, yeah, Quinn Snyder, the great Quinn Snyder.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Or Mike McDaniel with the Seahawks. Like, he's not negotiating with Sam Darnold. He certainly doesn't have to do it every year. It's just stupid what this sport has become right now. So yeah, now John Garrett and I think remind me of the guy that just
Taylor Edwards.
Those two will be in charge. John Garrett probably more so it sounds like to me more so the scouting and evaluation, and Edwards will be more of like maybe negotiating with the agents.
Yeah.
Just to insulate. You wouldn't want Norvell sitting there with the Desir brothers going, Daryl, man, you're not worth this. Sorry, you're not.
Yeah.
We'll pay you this, but it's only to keep you. Obviously, Norvell wouldn't say something like that anyway. But it helps to not have hurt feelings. And coaches who coach these players don't need to be negotiating contracts. And every other sport on earth has it exactly right. College football is out of control.
Yeah.
And as Garrett said, which I thought was very astute in his press conference, even if they aren't in the portal, every college football player in the country is in the portal.
Yeah.
And that's the truth, man. That is the absolute truth.
Yeah, before we get to that, I just think, again, I'm glad that you outlined the delineation of these roles because it is a different skill set. Like, I don't think I would want John Garrett negotiating contracts.
No.
I don't know if he's got the disposition to do that. I've not met Taylor Edwards, but I imagine, him being down in Miami for a year, being at South Carolina, working at SEC program, might have a little bit of a sharper tongue or a little bit of a, stiffer spine when it comes to negotiating. So it's good that they've got guys that probably fit better in these roles as opposed to last year that was just, whatever. Derek Ray was getting all this information and just throwing it at Mike and like, hey man, this is what we're doing. Here's what I think we should do. And then that's all he had to, that was his only check and balance, like a 39-year-old guy who'd been in Oregon State prior to this.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't realize John Garrett was at Oregon State too, I guess.
Was he?
He said he coached the Sean Mannion kid.
Oh yeah, I thought he was.
So I thought he was I thought Mannion was an Oregon State guy, or he scouted him or did whatever John Garrett did at Oregon State.
Yeah. Should look that up here. John Garrett. Let's get his profile. He was maybe coached him in the pros. Maybe as he was Oregon State offensive coordinator in 2014.
Oh yeah, we should probably know that. Okay, yeah, he's coached, he's scouted at both levels, the NFL and college. It's it'll be interesting to see how this works.
He was the receivers coach of that Virginia team that got thumped by Wyatt Sexton and the boys. He was at Virginia from 2004 to 2007.
Okay, all right, yeah, Wyatt Sexton, Ernie Sims. What a team!
Then Booker, did Booker go crazy in that game? Then Booker had a big game.
I don't think he went crazy. Maybe Leon did. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so the portal is open. As you mentioned, John Garrett telling everybody the quiet part out loud. Everybody's in the portal. I don't even know. Was it a whole hour before we got to campus for this press conference beforehand that the Desir Twins, which I think there's an important distinction here, Corey. According to Hayes Fawcett of On3, their agency reported to On3 that the twin brothers, Mandrell and Daryl Desir, plan to enter the portal. I think that's a different distinction than these guys themselves doing. To insulate yourself again, Corey, right? Like if they made an announcement or they're the ones that went to the media and were like, yeah, we're out, I think that creates a little bit more of a different dynamic. Whereas your agent does it, it's like, well, did he give him approval on that? Is the agent going rogue? I mean, obviously the agent is doing what he thinks is in the best interest of his client, but that was really jarring to see. Amari Williams jumped into the portal earlier in the day, and then afterwards, which, Corey, I don't know if you go back and watch the recap, the wrap that you did with Ira, but there was a moment where two Florida State football players were standing, maybe 20, 30 yards behind you in the median between their palace and the Bobby Bowden statue. And the two players were Ashlyn Barker and Justin Cryer.
Okay. All right.
And Justin Cryer ended up going to the portal maybe 30, 45 minutes after that video got posted. So, and they were having like a heart-to-heart discussion. So that was a bit interesting. But Justin Cryer enters the portal. Amari Williams, I got some thoughts on that. But obviously the Desir twins. But I feel like this is Rawls-esque. I feel this is negotiation leverage. So I'm not that panicked. But it's hard not to feel a little bit of anxiety, I guess, because a lot of people have on the board. So the reaction was overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, this is the life you choose to lead as a college football fan anymore. Sadly, I'm not telling people they shouldn't be upset or panicked or worried that they're going to lose the Desir brothers. I'm just saying, this is the world. This is a negotiation tactic that might lead them to go somewhere else. I mean, Freddie Freeman had a negotiation tactic. He wanted the Braves to re-sign him, but he hit his free agency year, and the Dodgers re-signed him, or the Dodgers signed him. This is what the Desir brothers are doing. I think Florida State, it's not like they're just bouncing. In my opinion, it's not as if they're just done with Florida State. I think you're right. I don't even know if they're actually technically in the portal yet. They just announced their intentions to go in the portal, which is kind of like, y'all better pump up that price. Y'all better bump up that price. And then we'll see what Florida State's answer to that is. And we go from there, but that's where we are, man. Alabama had two starters on Monday enter the portal. Guys that started this past year that are in the portal. Now, are they going to stay in the portal? Are they going to go back to Tuscaloosa because they get more money? This is what their agents are telling them to do. Maybe it's what their families tell them to do. It's also probably the smart thing to do if you're really trying to get more money. So this is just what the reality we live in. They could be Jabril Rawls. They could be Edwin Joseph. We have no idea where they'll end up. But yes, that would be a significant loss, especially for Mandrell. For me, maybe Daryl turns into something. I think Mandrell looked like he was blossoming into a star, or had the chance to be a star. And you don't have a ton of those on your team, especially not young guys. So I think it's a negotiation tactic, but I don't know how, how much they're asking for, how serious it is, what their other offers are. So we'll all see. But there was some good news too, and that's the thing with this stupid thing. So getting a guy that ran for 1,000 yards at Texas 2 years ago. And I think it was their leading rusher, their second leading rusher this year. I don't know if he got hurt or just split carries. He's a good player. Wisner, however you pronounce it. Sorry, I apologize, Trey. That's a nice signing for a team that needed another running back. Now, I hope, me personally, and I don't know because I'm not in these meetings. I don't know I'm not the capologist. I hope you didn't sign him at the expense of the Desir brothers, because I feel like the Desir brothers, to me, are more important than a running back. But it's a good running back, man. It's a good player. I mean, that's a really good player, but that's the problem in this day and age is a lot of your additions get like a Deuce or a Jabril. I know they weren't additions, they were retentions. They get overshadowed by the people you lost. But that's a nice signing, or commitment anyway, that they got on Monday.
Such a good signing, such a good running back. Some people in some corners are saying that Quintravion Wisner, that is, Corey, is like the corner pocket of running backs.
Okay. All right.
Great value.
Yep.
Great production.
Open till 2.
Yeah. Always open, actually.
Yeah, always
Hopefully.
open. That's right.
He's caught a whole bunch of passes.
Catches.
Yeah, man.
44 catches as a sophomore.
2475 Appalachian Parkway. We're back on the regular calendar. Tonight, trivia, 7 p.m. Come on out. Compete against Team Buy Steph a Drink. Yes, Corey?
No.
No.
Actually, I don't know that. I won't be there, but I'm not sure if the team will be there or not. So come out and see.
Corey. If Corey's not there, does it even count, guys?
You're right. Good call.
They need to have an alternate name when you're not there to differentiate between, Team Steph Buy a Drink.
Right. I gotcha.
Thursday bingo night, 4 rounds, $250 in cash money up for grabs in each single round. Ice cold drinks, affordable drinks, delicious food, affordable food, daily lunch specials, and that weekday happy hour from 4 to 7 p.m. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, cptallybar.com, the website, 2475 Appalachian Parkway.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Why would you wander around a warehouse store looking for paint when you could just swing by your neighborhood Ace? In addition to Ace's award-winning service, we have top-rated paint brands. Plus, our color matching technology allows us to match any color. So stop wandering and start painting. Head to your neighborhood Ace today.
In Crawfordville, your home convenience store is Ace Home Center and NAPA Auto Parts, located at 2709 Crawfordville Highway. Well, we are back at his Wake Up Warchant presented by CumminsLifestyle. Give him a follow on Instagram, everybody. So Wisner, Corey, I don't want to give him short shrift on here. Let's just go through some of the stats. I mean, you mentioned it. I think in 2024, CJ Baxter had started off as the starting backer. Maybe it was 2023. I need to go back and look at that. But at some point, Wisner took over. He ran for over 1,000 yards in 2024, averaged 4.7 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns, had a long of 43, 1,064 yards the total. He caught 44 passes in 2024, 311 yards and a touchdown. And this past season, he had about 750 all-purpose yards, or yards from scrimmage, I should say. This was an interesting kind of pickup because it moved fast. You figure this is a guy that's probably going to have a lot of interest out there. And obviously, Florida State identified him, made the move, and he's now on board. I don't know, man. Like somebody, I mean, I don't know. We're trying to iron sharpen iron. I just want to see like this bell cow running back that we were hoping that Gus Malzahn was going to bring to Tallahassee because he's done it everywhere he's been. I don't know if he's quite R.J. Harvey special, the last guy that Gus had in Orlando, but close, man. I mean, I don't know if I say close, but we got to be on the path to that, I hope.
You hope. I mean, his longest carry for this year was 19 yards, which doesn't fill you with a lot of great
Are you sure?
joy.
I saw 48.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. That was his longest catch. I'm sorry. Yeah. So he had a 48-yarder against A&M. That's what I was going to say, though. So he had, Ohio State, we know what that defense was. And he had 16 carries for 80 yards in the season opener and then didn't play for a month because he got hurt. But 16 for 80 against Ohio State, when if you guys remember that game, Texas couldn't throw the ball at all. There was no threat of a passing game. 5 yards a carry against that team, 80 yards against Ohio State. They didn't have many other guys in the country or many other guys on their schedule that ran for more than 80 yards against them. So that's just, I'm talking about this year. But then he got hurt. He didn't play again until the Florida game where he had 8 for 11. So even when he came back, I don't think he was fully healthy. But then Oklahoma, probably the second best defense they played all season. He had 22 for 94. Well, those are nice numbers, and 22 carries is a lot. And then he finished the season with 19 for 155 against A&M, who was a playoff team, and had 2 catches for 19 yards. So he had 174 all-purpose yards against the team that was ranked number 3 in the country. That's good, right?
Yeah, that's really
I like that. That's more than any of the returning running backs at Florida State could say. 155-yard game, a 90 against A&M. So he faced 3 top 10 teams this year. Well, 4 if you count Georgia. He had 16 for 80 versus Ohio State, who was 3rd in the country. He had 22 for 94 against Oklahoma, who was number 6 in the country when they played. And then had 19 for 155 against A&M, who was number 3 in the country when they played. So he's a big-time back. And I say that because the year before, as you talked about, he had – what did he end up with? He ended up with 1,064 rushing yards and 44 catches for 311 yards. So 1,400 all-purpose yards at Texas. And a guy that can catch it out of the backfield. Again, He had 118 against Oklahoma. He had 158 against Kentucky. 186 against A&M. He had 110 versus Clemson in the playoff game. And now he didn't do much against Arizona State and Ohio State in those games. He had 18 for 45 and 17 for 46 against Ohio State. But the fact he was getting the ball that many times, I think he is your bell cow. If Cromall isn't the guy. The beauty is, again, the reason I talked about Calandria, I thought Calandria would be a good idea at quarterback because of what he would mean for Kevin Sperry's development. Maybe this is the same thing with Wisner. Like, maybe watching someone like Wisner up close, splitting carries with him. He's 6'2", 6'195", so not the same type of running back as Cromall, but a guy that he answers when he's healthy, he's okay getting the ball 20, 25 times. He's proven he can do that. That seems to me perfect for Gus's offense. You need one of these guys, and again, I don't know how many other running backs out on the market had 1,600 rushing yards the last 2 years and had a season where they caught 44 passes. This seems like a really nice signing for an offense that needs a good running back. It needs a good running back room. It needs somebody that clearly this head coach and this offensive coordinator trust. And so let's hope it's Wisner. But yeah, it's nice that he's played in big games against these kind of defenses and shown he can take that beating and shown that he can have big games against good defenses.
By the time we get Matt LaSerre on here, we might have official word on it. But as we sit here and talk late into the evening, late into the night on Monday for your Tuesday podcast, everybody, On Three's Pete Nakos has got Ashton Daniels, originally from Buford, Georgia, went to Stanford for 3 seasons, was at Auburn most recently, quarterback, was on campus on Monday in Tallahassee after DJ Lagway departed. Sounds like Daniels is their guy. So I don't want to say like bullet dodge. The Lagway thing made no sense. It's crazy. I need like a 500-word essay from somebody on the offensive side of the ball. Like I don't know. I guess they're all going to throw it down the field. We're going to push it down vertically. We have Deuce Robinson. Lagway's a little bit more accurate than Tommy. Now we have a good running back in Wisner. That's our offense. Okay, I guess. But you were pretty intrigued with Ashton Daniels before he, apparently is leaning heavily towards coming to Florida State. Corey, 6'2", 219, spot duty this past season at Auburn until finally Hugh Freeze got relieved of duties and he started getting the games a little bit more. 24 touchdowns, 22 picks in his career, 60% completion percentage. He's got some wheels too. Has ran for over 1,400 yards in his career. Your thoughts on Ashton Daniels and that potential match in this Gus Malzahn offense?
My first instinct when I heard that they were even interested in him at all was like, ugh, gross. For what? Why? He to me, on first blush, not having paid that much attention to his career, but knowing that he was at Stanford and they weren't any good, and then knowing that he didn't get on the field much at Auburn, was like, that seems like a poor man's Tommy Castellanos. Like, why would you go and get somebody that's kind of the same passer and not as good a runner? But then, you do a deep dive kind of into his numbers. And again, I'm not trying to sell this. Be upset if you want. I'm with Aslan though, and I'm first guessing this because we still don't know what the deal is. They might sign Lagway and Ashton Daniels. Who knows? The Lagway never made sense to me. I know that I guess he told the reporters when he was done with his visit on Monday that he and Gus watched Cam Newton film. But, man, Lagway ain't Cam Newton. Not even close. He's not the athlete. He's big, but he's not as willing a runner, and he's not as good a runner as Cam Newton, and he's not as good a passer. And
I think what he said, too, Corey, was that, like, go back and look at my film in high school. I did run the ball. So, like, to say that I'm not a runner is not accurate. It's like, come on, man. I mean, that was 3 years ago.
High school.
Yeah, man.
I mean, Brock Glenn ran for a lot of yards in high school. It's also high school. Like, we saw what you did this past year when you didn't run at all. We saw what you did the year before where you ran some. But, yeah, if I thought Lagway was going to be a willing runner, I just think his ceiling is the highest of the bunch. I also think his basement. I think the issue I have or had, depending on how this shakes out with Lagway, and if he ends up signing with Florida State, I will still say this, is I think it could go horribly wrong with him. Like, he's mercurial. I think his personality, apparently when Summerall got there, he talked to people in the program that apparently told him, don't make that a priority. So he didn't have a bunch of fans in the building necessarily. And again, He was hurt a good bit the first 2 years. He did get stretchered off the field for a hamstring pull, which I made fun of him for. Which again, I'm sure he thought it was worse than that. But I won't walk that back. That was crazy, folks. They all took a knee and prayed, and it ended up being a hamstring injury where he could have played the next week. So anyway, but he didn't run. He wasn't a willing runner. He was not a willing runner when he played at Florida this past year, and also wasn't any good, and they won 4 games. So I was not all that thrilled about the prospect of DJ Lagway. I'm also not all that thrilled about Ashton Daniels, but I did, when you look at what Ashton Daniels did here at the end of the season, and I'm just going to look, because he didn't play. No. And it's hard to judge anybody on that Auburn offense when Hugh Freeze was there, because it was the worst offense in the country when Hugh Freeze was there. I don't know why, but he got fired. They made him the starter. They made Ashton Daniels the starter against Kentucky, I think. It looks like that was his first game.
Yes.
And it was horrible. He was 13 of 28. He started 3 games this year. He was 13 of 28 against Kentucky for 108 yards. And this was not a good Kentucky team. It was a bad Kentucky team.
Threw a pick.
They lost 10-3. Now, that might have been Hugh Freeze's last game. In fact, I think it was. So maybe we should throw this out. I'm pretty sure Hugh Freeze got fired after that.
By the way, so people know what's going on in Auburn. Before the year, he was delegating play calling duties based on downs. Like his receivers coach was calling the third down plays. It's bizarre. Anyways, continue on.
So then I'm almost positive Hugh Freeze gets fired after that. The very next game is against Vanderbilt, at Vanderbilt, who, guys, almost made the playoffs. There was a 10-win team. Ashton Daniels is 31 of 44 for 353 yards, 2 touchdowns, and also ran 18 times for 89 yards and 2 more touchdowns. So against one of the top 15 teams in the country, what is that? That's 442 total yards and 4 touchdowns that were attributed to him. And then you might say, okay, but that's Vanderbilt. It was a one-off. How did he do the next week in his final start? Well, that was Alabama, who, again, as we all know, is a pretty good program. Didn't probably deserve to be in the playoff, but they were there. So another top 10, 12 team. He was 18 of 39 for 259. Not great numbers, completion percentage-wise, but he threw for 259, and he ran for 108. And what I think is almost as important, on 23 carries. So he could be a workhorse at the quarterback position running the ball. So against Vanderbilt, he had 440 yards of total offense. Against Alabama, what is that? That's 367 yards of total offense against Alabama. And that was a bad Auburn football team, and they were within, I don't know, a play or two of winning that game. So at least he finished strong, right? And again, when you look at the Gus Malzahn offense, and I'm not trying to make you excited for something you don't need to be excited by. But the year before, when he was at Stanford, he was the starter for the whole year, and that was a horrible Stanford team. He ran for 670 yards. He had 91 yards in a game. He ran for 129 at NC State. He ran for 87 against Clemson, like 87 in another game against TCU, where they put up 27 points. Like, he is not a great passer, clearly. He is not probably a pro prospect at quarterback. But what I like about him, just like what I liked about Calandria, and what I didn't like about Lagway, is in the Gus offense, you need a quarterback that's not only willing to run the ball, but good at it. And it would seem Ashton Daniels is pretty good at running the ball. And he's certainly willing to do it because he ran for 108 yards. He had 23 carries for 108 against Alabama in the very last game he played. So at least you got that going for you. I don't know if he's going to be any good I don't even know if he's going to be at Florida State. I don't even know if he's coming to be the starter. But as I look at those 3 prospects, especially if you compare him to Lagway, again, it depends on what you're looking for. Are you going to pay the kind of money that Lagway's probably asking for that kind of wild card? Of he might be awesome, but probably not. And if he's not willing to run, what is this offense going to be? Well, at least, at the very least, Ashton Daniels is willing to run the football. And in his last 2 games against 2 top 15 teams, he ran for 206 yards and threw for 650.
This feels like a lot of Tommy parallels. And
you're right.
And DJ Lagway had a lot of DJ Uiagalelei parallels. It's like we are living in just a bizarre bizarre set of circumstances. And listen, man, Auburn had Cam Coleman, so he had a really good receiver to throw to, much like Deuce. I think they also had the kid that was at Georgia Tech last year that played really well. Singleton? Shouldn't I say? I don't know. But yeah, so he had weapons out there, but the 46% completion percentage in a pick against Bama hurts. But I mean, he ran for 800 yards, so I guess we'll take that.
Well, he threw for 260 too. It wasn't like he was horrible. Yeah, I don't know how many wide open throws he missed, how much he was running for his life, but clearly those last two games he was a different player.
Yeah. All right, so that's what we have right now, the quarterback spot. So again, they had Calandria on campus. They also had Lagway on campus, and then most recently here, Daniels. Again, Pete Nakos, as we sit here on Monday night reporting, he's putting his prediction that Florida State's going to land Daniels. I think the story that we had with Matt LaSerre with the quotes after the visit was that he might be going to visit Kentucky, but I think Kentucky actually nabbed a quarterback earlier in the evening, so that probably, puts a tea leaves out there that, Kentucky doesn't need a quarterback. So it makes sense for Daniels to pick Florida State. Any other additional thoughts on the Desirs, Justin Cryer, Amari? My thought on the Amari Williams thing, Corey, to go back to it is, and this is me being petty or weird, whatever you want to characterize it as, but like when you watch Hard Knocks, and usually like the first episode, and I haven't watched Hard Knocks in a long time. It's been too much. It's like on HBO, then it's on ESPN, and they're doing it during the season. But, I feel like the first episode, like it'll follow the franchise player as he's like grocery shopping with his wife, or like playing with his newborn child, or like out on the golf course with his buddies before training camp opens one last time, right? It's like a little 1 minute segment or whatever. And then the Hard Knocks music plays and it goes to the credits or whatever. Like, that's who Amari Williams was last year. Like, they did an entire Eyes Up Climb episode in the preseason around Amari Williams. Like, went down to Palm Beach with him on a boat, like really showcase this young man as something that was going to be really important to Florida State's success. And then they never could figure out how to use him, right? Like, that, to me, we can talk about how the snub has affected Mike Norvell. I don't know how much the Travis Hunter thing affected Mike Norvell, because felt like they were trying to make him Travis Hunter. Like, well, you can play both. Yeah, we'll both. We'll do both. We'll play both. And I think that was a detriment. I think they really should have picked a spot much earlier in the process. Probably should have been defensive end, because they brought Randy Pittman in, and you already had a bunch of other guys at tight end. You brought Marqueson back. You should have had him play exclusively at defensive end, seeing what you had out of him. You actually needed somebody at that position. So for them to like invest all that, they kind of showcase him as like potentially like a franchise player. And then he's on his way out 1 year later, not even a whole year later. Like, that to me, just it underscores some of the misses, the evaluation misses, and just the weird kind of, delegation, like picking leaders, picking people that are going to be the face of your program. There shouldn't be a guy that's going to leave, a year after you give him this whole showcase kind of show, if you will. So Amari Williams, I wonder where he'll end up.
Yeah, I don't know what the market is for someone like that has really kind of proven, almost next to – I mean, I think we both think he's talented, but it's proven next to nothing at this level. We'll – and again, it might be the same thing. We'll see how long he's in the portal. We'll see if he sees what offers are coming his way and realizes he wants to stay in Tallahassee. I was not Cryer and Amari Williams did not bother me one way or the other at all. Amari Williams might end up being something. Justin Cryer is what he is, in my opinion, just kind of a linebacker. Didn't seem to be anything great. Amari Williams didn't seem to be anything great, but Amari Williams was like 19 years old and played two positions. So he might be a burgeoning star, but might be. The ones that bother you are obviously the Desir brothers, because they've proven it much more. I know Cryer's made some plays and he's played the last 2 years, but he's not going to be a star. Mandrell Desir is going to be a star college football player. Maybe Darrell is too, but Mandrell is going to be one of those guys, and you just need those guys. And it's also weird, though, man. It's weird to have twins connected at the hip like this. Like, it's bizarre.
I don't know. The McCourties both played at Rutgers, I think.
No, but like
the Barbers, Virginia.
So they're both in the port. Like, are they both asking for the same amount of money?
well, that's a good question, Corey. It's a good
right?
question.
What's because they don't both deserve the same amount of money. So if they both want to go to Alabama, you got to pay my brother as much as you're paying me. It's like, this isn't like we're giving your brother a scholarship because we're giving you a scholarship. And look, Daryl's a good enough player on his own. He doesn't need the help of his brother, but he's not his brother. So, like, what if Mandrell got offered 1.4, but Daryl only got offered $400,000? Do they split it? And each gets $900,000? Like, I don't know how any of this works when you're basically having to negotiate with two different players of two different skill sets and talent levels. I think Daryl can be a good college football player. Like I said, I think Mandrell can be a star, but you're having to negotiate with them like they're both one player. It's odd. It's just weird. So they're going to go to whatever school they are as an entity, or they're going to come back to Florida State as one entity, but they are two separate players that, it's not like when they go to the league that the Giants are going to draft Mandrell and Daryl with the same pick. It's not how life works. So it's odd that they're so attached. I guess it's not odd. I get it. They're brothers and they're twins and there's brotherly love and all that. But they're attached to the hip as twins where they both go into the portal together. They're both probably going to be offered the same amount of money. Is that something that it's just bizarre. It's a weird situation. But I do hope they come back. To me, that's the biggest one. Of the ones they've lost, clearly that's the big one. Because Mandrell's a potential star defensive lineman. You don't have any of them. And I would have thought this past year they were relatively cheap. So you need, if you can, especially if you're saving money on Ashton flipping Daniels, a quarterback, because the going rate for him isn't $7 million, $6 million, then you should be able to get the Desir brothers. And as John Garrett, we talked to John Garrett about a little bit, or he was asked about it, lock them up for 2 years. Put some offset language in there where they can't leave. And if they do leave, it's going to cost whoever gets them a lot of money to give it back to you. There needs to be language in these contracts, and there are, depending on the players. The offset language is more, I don't know, stringent for some than others, but I doubt the Desir brothers had a big, probably not a big, whatever you do, a buyout for their contract. But I do hope it works out and they both come back, because I think they're those kind of players, not just that they're good, Mandrell, again, especially probably great, a star, but the way they play, man, you need it. They're football players, and they love the sport, and you need that. They just play at a level and an intensity with a motor that just isn't common, and you need that around your program as much as possible.
Dr. Richardson's in the portal. Maybe a few years at FAU has seasoned him play on the offensive line. I'm just trying to look at offensive line now, because at quarterback seems like Hayes in the barn on that one. And they're going to need to, Tommy, whatever success he did have, obviously that first game, all the cylinders were hitting, but then he got hurt and we never saw the greatness of those flashes really again. But I thought, I heard Jeff say on the Monday show, he's like, you had an average or a little bit above average offensive line. I thought they were well above average. I like the offensive line.
Well, here's what I would say to Jeff, and we'll do headlines today, is if you think they're just an average offensive line, then how good a coordinator is Gus Malzahn? You can't have it both ways. You can't say that you hate the offense and you don't like the offense, and then say that he managed to run for 218 yards a game with an average offensive line. Either the offensive line is better than average and was pretty darn good, or the offense is better than average. Because you can't have a crappy offensive coordinator with an offense you don't like and an average offensive line and run for over 200 yards a game. That's just not how life works. So yeah. Anyway, I think they'll be able to. He is going to figure out an offense, whether it's Ashton Daniels at quarterback, Wisner and Cromot running back, with Deuce in the wide receiver, and you hope. I don't know, maybe Boggs comes back. You got Danzy. You hope you have Lloyd McCoy. All these guys coming back. Gus will put together an offense that works, and is going to score some points, and is going to move the ball. He just will. Man, there aren't a lot of Desirs just out there. Amari Williams, don't know what he's going to be. Right now, he's an undersized defensive end that hasn't really proven much, and it plays tight end half the time. James Williams, not a big loss. Justin Cryer, a guy, man, just a guy. Jason Jenkins was just a guy. If you're going to save money at the quarterback position, which you clearly are, And like we said, one of the benefits of the Gus Malzahn offense is you don't need a great quarterback to be able to move the ball. So if you're going to save money at that position, man, I want to start reading about some bigger name guys coming to play for this defense, because you can't. What's left after the Desir brothers isn't good enough to stop anybody on your schedule, except for like maybe New Mexico State or Central Arkansas. You've got to bring in some guys up front, man. You've got to, because you can't lose Darrell Jackson and the Desir brothers and then think you're going to be better on defense. So whether you lose the Desir brothers or not, you better go. I don't care if you have to overpay. Go get some all-conference caliber defensive linemen from somewhere in this country. And because you have to. You have to. And right now I think it's almost like they're taking care of the offense first, and then going to put all their resources they're going to start looking. Because, even on Monday they had a couple offensive linemen that were on campus. They've had 3 quarterbacks visit in 36 hours. I think they had a wide receiver on campus. They signed the running back, or got commitment from the running back. It seems like they've had a bunch of offensive guys on campus and hardly any defensive linemen on campus, and that needs to change really quickly.
Any last thoughts before we bring Matt LaSerre in, just about the 3 of those guys up on that podium? That was a hard watch, man, and hard to really walk away from it feeling that I almost feel like we need to invest money into one of those body language experts and just do a Zoom with them where we just play that press conference and they're like, oh, pause it here, zoom in on the coach. The way his arms are folded and his body is leaning away from the athletic director shows you that he's, it wasn't a bizarre press conference, but I did not leave it feeling very optimistic and hopeful because, the head coach doesn't seem all that stoked about what lies ahead. And he made a comment too Corey, about kind of, their budget kind of is what it is. Like we've got to go out there with what we have, and that's what it is. And it's like, man, there just wasn't a lot of upbeat feelings. And even before he was at the table and after he was at the table, just did not look like a very positive-minded coach, which was his calling card for so long. I can't articulate it any better, unfortunately, but that just did not leave feeling any better about what 2026 could be after that press conference. No,
but I agree with you. It was a bizarre setting anyway, because you're in the middle of basically the draft. These 3 men, the power triangle, come and talk for 30 minutes, and they're having to talk about what was wrong with the program and why John Garrett is even there and why they had to change things, all while Mike Norvell is right there listening to it. Like, we all know the reason Mike Norvell is still there is because of the contract that was signed 2 years ago. We all get it. Otherwise, he'd have been fired. Well, we also all know they're trying to do whatever they can to, as Aslan would say, prop him up to make sure it goes well. Because it's too big to fail. It's too much money invested to fail. They have to figure out a way by throwing money or throwing more personnel, throwing more problems, but more money and people at it, that they will get this thing right. But it makes for when you have it like that with 3 guys there taking questions, which was surprising to me. I just thought it would have been Garrett by himself, honestly. Yeah. But it wasn't Norvell, because they wanted, I guess, a show of solidarity, unity, that they're all in this together. But it made for an odd kind of dynamic. But all of that to say, man, what's he gonna say that's gonna make you feel good about it? There's nothing he can say for the next 9 months. 8 months, I guess.
Or seem excited. I get it, man. How can you be excited? You're losing, you're in this position and you're being almost trotted out here because of your failures. I get it, but it did not strike me as like anybody up there felt really great about the situation that they've either inherited and walked into or that they're dealt for this upcoming season. Like,
agreed,
nothing.
But I would say even if they did, you wouldn't care. And I'm not saying you, I'm saying us. We wouldn't care. I wouldn't care if they're telling me how great they're going to be. And if Mike Norvell was doing his normal Mike Norvell rah-rah stuff. That ship sailed anyway. I don't want to hear that anymore anyway. So if he's upset or if he's looking at his phone 3 times during the course of the 25-minute press conference, the words don't matter anymore. like the actions do, and the people they bring on, the hires they make and the additions they make to the roster do. But Mike Norvell telling me about how much he likes these guys, how he believes in them, how excited he is about what they're putting together. Don't care. Don't care. How could anybody? How could anybody? So it was a no-win. It was a lose-lose in that regard. Like there was, if he looked over the top too happy and excited, people like, here goes Norvell again, being typical Mike, always optimistic, always excitable, and telling us how hard they work.
Fair.
And then if he looks like he did, it's like, well, what's wrong with him? He's not excited at all. He must think they're going to be awful. It's like there's no way for him to win. But the reason he can't win is because on the field he doesn't win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's nothing he can do to make people believe in him until on the field he starts giving us reasons to believe in him. And then so this is just going to be another 10 days of, again, hopefully adding to this roster. If Ashton Daniels is the guy, Ashton Daniels is the guy. If it's Ashton Daniels and Kevin Sperry, like legitimate quarterback competition, which it might be, man. Yeah. Like Ashton Daniels isn't DJ Lagway. Like Ashton Daniels isn't going to cost as much as DJ Lagway or Calandria probably. So he started 2 games last year, or 3. So if it is Ashton Daniels as the guy, that might mean Kevin Sperry is the guy. So that gives at least Kevin Sperry an avenue to be the starting quarterback, because Ashton Daniels, they're not going to make any promises to that guy. Why would they? He's won like 5 games in his career. By the way, he was okay at Stanford. As a player, I guess he was okay, but the team was horrible.
Yeah, but
how much was that because Ashton Daniels wasn't very good?
You wanted a brand name quarterback, Corey. This is not a brand name quarterback.
Yeah. Well, no, I wanted them to get the quarterback right.
Okay.
I want them to get the quarterback right. And if that means it's Ashton Daniels, if Gus is looking at that and saying
the value, right? Yeah,
I can win with this guy.
Yeah.
He gives me as much as DJ. He's better fit for DJ, and he costs $2.5 million less.
Yeah, him and Wisner, Daniels and Wisner is better for you than Lagway and Cromall.
Or Singleton, yeah.
Or,
yeah.
Calandria and whoever else, right?
And it frees up to go get the guys you need at offensive line. All of these are issues because you haven't recruited well enough at every position, right? We get that. Yeah. But you are where you are. The reality is the reality. And, because I didn't think that – I hope I didn't say I wanted them to get a marquee quarterback. I wanted them to go get a good quarterback. Because I didn't think a marquee, like the big names, I didn't know why they would come here. Because why would you?
Right.
So, again, this is kind of – you're fishing in a different lake when Gus Malzahn is the offensive coordinator, because you're not going to get – the Mensahs or the Sam Levitts to really look at you, or Carson Beck to really look at you, because this isn't the system for them necessarily. And it doesn't produce pro quarterbacks typically. But it can produce good college ones, and it can produce good college offenses. And I hope this one does. But whether it's Ashton Daniels or Calandria or DJ Lagway or somebody else, you just hope. You just hope it can't be worse, right? Can't be worse.
Year 7, gotta love it. All right, what's next? The portal's still open. We'll get details. We'll get answers with Matt LaSerre right after this. You guys want more information. You guys don't want all this, like, I think, I guess, speculation. So we go to Matt LaSerre because he's got knowledge. He's got sources. Matt, thanks for taking time out. Before I start asking you some questions about players and such, can you just outline to everybody at home what your Monday looked like?
Well, I got to the football-only facility a little late because Lagway decided to arrive earlier than anyone else has in a while. But, so started off just by getting up early and going over to the football-only facility, Lagway in the building, waiting for everyone else to get there, and then really just waiting out there all day, and people trickled in, like Wisner, who committed. That was fun, and some offensive linemen came in as well, and Ashton Daniels too. So, yeah, it's a hurry up and wait kind of day. And then everyone's entering the portal and that press conference going on across the parking lot. It was a little bit of everything.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm glad you mentioned offensive linemen. We'll get to them in a minute. But Corey and I, as we were talking, we saw the report from Pete Nakos with his prediction, and I think you feel pretty much the same way, or maybe I shouldn't put those words in your mouth. But Ashton Daniels, originally, again, at Stanford, then at Auburn this past season. Sounded like Kentucky might have been another place he was going to go visit, but I think Kentucky picked up a quarterback on Monday night themselves. So how likely do you think it is that Florida State will get Ashton Daniels? And do you think like they're getting him as the guy? Like they hope that he'll be the guy that's going to start over Kevin Sperry?
Yeah, so I think there's a very good chance that they get Ashton Daniels. We like where it's trending. It doesn't seem like he's taking that visit to Kentucky. He said they flipped a quarterback in the portal.
Oh, yeah,
that's where college football is at now. Yeah. Their quarterbacks are flipping.
Yeah, they got from Notre Dame. Yeah, it's from Notre Dame,
yeah.
And then he committed to Nebraska. That's who they got. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, he flipped in both his portal and recruitment process because he originally flipped from Pitt, like close to signing day. But yeah, it's so yeah, it looked like that Kentucky visit wasn't going to happen, and then you start talking to people and connect the dots. It's trending well in Florida State's direction, is the way I would put it. And yeah, so the next interesting question is there are really two. There's really two quarterbacks or spots in that room, right? Because King left as well, and we saw them last year do the thing where they brought in King pretty late to be that last filling, to be that scout team quarterback. And the pitch to him at that point was to compete for the starting job this year. Obviously, that last part didn't happen. But when Ashton Daniels was coming on the visit, you see that as like, oh, maybe that's that guy. Maybe that's the more backup guy, and you'd rather have him than a lower level JUCO or a FCS quarterback or whatever you could get at the end there to fill that spot. And then we asked him, because again, that was something we were serious about, if like it could be him and Lagway or just one or the other. Asked him in the interview after when we talked to him that are you coming in with the expectation to be, or would you be coming in with the expectation to be QB1? He said yes. Okay. And so that's what it looks like that. Still waiting to talk to some people in the Lagway corner to see if Florida State's still in the running there. But it looks like if Daniels were to come to FSU, that he would probably be the guy.
All right. All right, so that's a development, obviously. They got, we think, quarterback. Offensive line, I mean, we got to talk about some defense at some point. I hope you got some names for us, Matt. But offensive line-wise, they need to rebuild that thing from the ground up. Who was on campus on Monday, and how do you think those visits went, and what else could be on the horizon this week when it comes to – who even is it? I'm looking at the transfer portal rankings. Sorry to be all over the place, Matt, but like Jacarius Peak apparently is the number one offensive tackle in the portal right now. He's the number 3 overall prospect. He's the number 1 offensive tackle. He's from Valdosta. He's been at NC State the last few years. Then Lance Hurd, who's from Louisiana, that was at Tennessee. He's like the number 19th overall prospect, I think. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of big names out there, but I don't know when they're going to end up getting in the portal. But offensive line right now, where do things stand for Florida State, do you think, in the portal?
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of interesting. So the guys who showed up just got there in the afternoon, and one got there even later. First off, on campus right now, you have Braden Joyner from Purdue, center, started all year as the Purdue center. Also played guard for Auburn the year before that and was SEC All-Freshman team as a redshirt freshman in 2024. You have Yale offensive tackle Michael Bennett, who has been All-Ivy first-team selection the last 2 seasons, and was even All-Ivy honorable mention his first season. He got only 5 games of starting experience and still got that honor, which means he's probably pretty good. And then you have center from Troy, Paul Bowling, on campus after Georgia Tech. He visited Georgia Tech over the weekend and now told me he made it in on Monday night. Other guys, yeah, like that was been my point with the offensive linemen is last year you looked at it and you saw all these SEC experienced guys that Florida State was able to get, right? Yeah. Those don't seem to exist this year is my only issue. Like, it's not like there's not many guys who have that high level experience and have been good, right, consistently. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how they kind of go about this. Now, they could spend some money here, say because, if they do get Ashton Daniels and that does come to fruition, he's not as expensive as a Lagway. He's not as expensive as a Calandria. So maybe you're looking at spending more money in the trenches, which would be my hope, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
And also Xavier Chaplin from Auburn is expected to visiting Kentucky tomorrow, so we'll see if he makes it to FSU. But it was reported that he is expected to visit FSU at some point.
Man, Kentucky doors are open, man.
Yeah, where do they get this money to pay Stoops off and
hire Will
get all these
Stein and
players?
get all these players? That's crazy. It's crazy.
Is it Kroger? That's the name on the field.
Yeah, it is that Kroger money. We need that grocery money. Come on, Sarah Blakely. Come on, Spanks. All right, let's pivot to defense. The Desir Twins, again, their agency, their representation informed On3 that they plan on entering the portal. As we sit here and talk, I don't know if they actually have entered the portal. And I think there is a difference between them announcing it themselves and like leaking it out to the media versus their agents doing it. I feel like that means it's probably more negotiation, but if you have thoughts on that, feel free to offer it up. But right now, defensive wise, is that another thing that is similar to stalwart, experienced, proven offensive linemen? There doesn't seem to be a plethora of edge rushers. I know Quay Russaw from Alabama went in on Monday night. I don't know if he'd be a reasonable target for Florida State, but that seems to be defensive line, especially if they lose the freaking Desirs because they're losing Darrell Jackson. That would be catastrophic, and I don't think there's anybody else out there that seems like a reasonable target for them right now. What have you been hearing, whether it's edge or interior, on the defensive line, portal, and mutual interest with Florida State?
Yeah, so you have John Walker, UCF defensive lineman, who visited on Saturday and it was at Ohio State Monday. So going to make some calls after that visit ends at Ohio State and kind of see where that stands. But it's they're going to have to get some more in. You also have on the edge Rylan Kennedy, Texas A&M, who visited over the weekend. And that one, we really like where it's trending. He didn't have any other visits planned after Florida State. That's normally a good sign. Obviously it's a good sign because he hadn't visited anywhere else before that. I actually put an RPM pick for him, and I genuinely don't like putting in RPM picks. But so it's defensive line still kind of waiting on some developments there, as well as linebacker. Those are other ones we're watching, but I think that we'll start to see that pick up here in the coming days. You know, it's kind of slowed down after the Lagway stuff, and then we'll kind of see. It's all the ebbs and flows of the transfer portal.
I'm not going to ask you about punter. I know we lost Mac. Texas. Looks like he committed to Texas, Mac Sciamento.
Yeah, he signed. He signed with Texas.
Gosh,
Him and Edwin Joseph were at Texas on the visit at the same time. That's a combo you wouldn't think would hang out together, would it be?
No, it wouldn't be. So let me ask you this on the way out, Matt, and we might get you on the show later this week. If not, Warpath, is that dropping on Friday?
I don't know, to be honest with you. We've been doing the daily updates, so I don't know if that makes up for it or not.
All right.
I still need to get and talk to Nick about it. I don't even know if I have time to sit down for a full hour of it. So, we'll see. It's been a lot of out there all night, out there all day, getting back at 6:30, and then trying to write everything up and get some intel at night. So. Been pretty jam-packed.
All right. Well, let me ask you this on the way out. I mean, just what is your sense right now, man? Like, is Florida State kind of where they thought they would be in the portal? Do you think they are behind? Things aren't. I mean, you mentioned things are trending in the right direction on several prospects, but again, we don't know how much of difference makers they are. Just what is your kind of just your sense overall about Florida State, whether they have momentum or just the track they're on right now when it comes to the portal, or is it just too early to make any kind of determination? Again, it's only been open for 3 days. So.
Yeah, momentum-wise, it kind of feels weird, right? Because you get good news, like the South Alabama DB who committed, Nehemiah Chandler. Like, that's good news. That's a good player. And then, things are trending. You're getting a top quarterback on campus and DJ Lagway and Calandria and all this stuff. And then you have other people enter the portal. Then you have a top running back commit, and then you have another guy enter the portal. So it's kind of hard to get this momentum going when you have a bunch of stuff going on. I think here soon we'll start seeing a lot all positive news. And if you look back at the portal history of Florida State now, this is the first time in the 2-week window, so it's different. But normally when the portal first opens, things are a little bit slow. You see them bringing guys that they're not really sure about. Like, you look at a Bryant Williams, an offensive lineman who we thought was a slam dunk for Florida State from University of Louisiana, was on campus over the weekend. Told me that he was only focused on Florida State going into the visit, had nothing else scheduled. And then coming out, it seemed like that FSU wasn't really a take for FSU, and other visits are scheduled. So it's kind of, let's wait and see what happens. And kind of see how the developments come. The Purdue guy that's on campus right now, Purdue center Braden Joyner, he entered the portal Monday morning and was on campus at 4:30. So, these things can move quickly and we can get some news very fast. So it's let's just wait and see who enters. You never know what's going to happen in the transfer portal, especially at this point. Yeah, I can't believe it's only day 3. It feels like it's been 3 weeks.
Well, it's a good thing it's only one of these windows. And apparently I found this out yesterday. This is everybody. So even grad transfers can't enter the portal after this. The only people that can after this window closes it are players if their coach ends up getting fired. So at least we'll get some clarity here in the coming days. By the way, that offensive tackle you mentioned, Bryant Williams, he's the number 7 available offensive tackle in the portal according to On3 right now.
Portal rankings are a little weird. They're rushed and like a lot of times based off of high school stuff. And I don't take portal rankings with a grain of salt for the most part, in my opinion.
We get it. All right. Check out Matt LaSerre's writing over at warchant.com. 50% off an annual membership. Follow him on Twitter as well. Last name first, first name last. Matt, thanks for doing this, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
On behalf of Matt and Corey Clark, thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram. Give them a follow.